Peace. This is Brother Hot Tim. I'm coming at you with a folk tale for grown folks. Now, oftentimes, often, I ask myself questions. And a lot of times when I allow my imagination, my intuition to work, I get a story which answers the question. So the question that I was asking is, how do I fix a system? Now, of course, whether we're talking about the political system or the economic system or the prison system or the education system, we know that something is wrong in our society. And oftentimes we look at these systems and look for ways to fix them. So I asked this question in general to myself and just let it roll around. And as I was walking my dog on, I think Thursday morning, an idea started to bloom. So here is the idea. Now bear with the story because at first, as usual, my story don't make any sense or make any connection to the answer that I'm looking for. But just like I do, you have to write it out all the way out to the end. Now the name of the story is called, Brother, why you riding that horse? That's what I said. Brother, why you riding that horse? Well, in the story, let me set it up for you. You have two brothers, and we'll call one older brother and the other younger brother. They both inherited a company from their father. The father left 50% for each one of them. So they own the business equally. The older brother is basically the CEO, and the younger brother is basically the next man in line. And the father left them a very successful and profitable business. The father basically created his own market, and he provides products and services that he is the originator and the creator. So when he died, he passed this business, this very successful business, on to his sons. Now, we move into the future where the brothers are working in the company and making it successful. It's not as moving as fast as it used to, but the younger brother has an idea, and he approaches his older brother, and the older brother shoot the idea down, because the younger brother want to make some major changes to the business, to the way they do business. And the brother's like, look, what we've been doing, been working, why you want to try to fix something that's now broken? So the younger brother at first is very upset and hurt that his older brother wouldn't even listen to his whole idea. And I mean, he got so upset that he thought about selling his half of the business, because since it was a profitable business, at that point in time, he would have made a lot of money. But he decided not to do that because this business was part of his legacy. And not only was it passed on to his father, the business could survive long enough for him to pass it on to his son. So the younger brother decided that instead of selling the business, he would ride a horse. Now, I know this don't make a lot of sense to those of you listening, and when I got it, it didn't make sense to me. He decided that he would ride a horse to work. Now, the younger brother always loved horses, and as soon as he made enough money in the business, he bought a piece of land out in the outskirts of the city and started raising horses. His wife took care of the horses during the day, and he loved the horses, and when he was free, he would always ride one. So he decided to start riding his horse to work. Now, there's nothing wrong with riding a horse to work. So he gets up, puts his car up in the garage, and started riding his horse to work. But he knew that his horse would not be able to get to work as fast as his car, so he would have to leave maybe an hour and a half earlier than he used to leave. So he started leaving an hour and a half earlier. And it took him about 2 hours to get to work on a horse when it would really only take him about a half an hour in a car. So he would get to work on time. But because he was getting up so early, eventually it started weighing on him and he began to fall asleep during the workday. So he would fall asleep during meetings, and some of these meetings were important. They weren't just staff meetings. They were meetings with the board. There were meetings with customers, and he would start falling asleep during the day. So the older brother, sent him a message, a very kind message, asking him to get his sleep and get to work and not fall asleep. So the younger brother did the best thing he could. He started sleeping his regular amount of time, as he had been doing for years, and just ride his horse in and get to work the best time he could. But because he was riding his horse, and it took him 2 hours to get to work, he would get to work like an hour, sometime an hour and a half late. Now this really started wearing on the company because many decisions need to be made in the morning and he needed to be there. And since he wasn't there, a lot of stuff got held up and the company started suffering because of it. It wasn't just because of the horse, him riding the horse, but the company started suffering. And the older brother was kind of getting upset. And then also, regardless of whether it rained or snow or whatever, this man rode the horse to work. And he didn't bring a change of clothes, so he would often come into the office smelling like a horse. Sometimes smelling like a wet horse. The horse hair that was on his pants would get all over the furniture that he sat in the office, and he often had to go outside and clean up the poop from his horse, and he took a lot of breaks to go out to groom his horse. And his brother was watching this and hearing about this going on, and he really, really was beginning to get troubled about it. But the final straw was when the younger brother decided to take the 3 best parking spots and turn them into a small barn so that he could protect his horse from the elements. Now, when the older brother came to work and seen the barn, he was livid. He went into the business, didn't say anything to his brother, but because his brother owned 50% of the company, he could have those 3 parts, but this didn't look good for his business. So the older brother was upset. The younger brother was cool because he could go outside and he could mess with his horse, and of course this took up time. And the staff started complaining about the smell and the time that he was spending on a horse rather than making sure that the company was running right. And the final straw that broke the camel's back was when the younger brother came to a very important meeting that was set up by his older brother for a major customer. The younger brother came in late. It just happened to rain that day, and the brother came in smelling like a wet horse. And the company lost the contract. So the older brother sent the younger brother a message that asked the younger brother to come into his office the next day. So, of course, the younger brother was late because he rode the horse in. He tied his horse up into the barn, made sure the hay was together, made sure his horse had water. Then he went into the office. And he went to meet with his brother, and his brother was looking so sad because he didn't know what to do with his brother. He couldn't fire him because he owned 50% of the company, and he wondered about his younger brother's mental health. And he looked at the younger brother, and with tears in his eyes, he like, brother, I know we haven't spoke since you talked about making changes to the business, but I really need to talk to you about this horse thing. And the young brother said, well, go ahead. He said, brother, now, I think it would be a lot easier and a lot more efficient if you was to put your horse up and just continue riding them on the weekends, because I know you love horses. But don't you think it would be better if you was to get in the car and drive to work? The young brother said, no, because I love horses. He said, brother, horses are old-fashioned, they're antiquated. They're slow. They take up too much space. I mean, young brother, why are you riding a horse? And the young brother finally smiled at his older brother. He said, brother, I thought you never asked. He said, I ride a horse because I like a horse. A horse is an excellent form of transportation. But the only problem is it is antiquated. It is slow. And it does take up a lot of space. But I wanted to make the point to you that the way you do business is the same way that I get to work. He said, what you mean? He said, brother, you run a business like it's a horse. The way you do business is antiquated. The way you do business is slow. The way you do business takes up a lot of space. And all I'm talking about, brother, is making some changes so that we can keep up with the times. Your business model is a horse, while we're competing against other people's business model who are using cars, and whose business model is a lot faster than ours. Either we are going to change, or we are going to go the way of the horse. Now, if you allow me to make changes within the business, I will stop riding my horse to work. And the older brother can allow them to do that. Now, this goes back to my point. That's the end of the story, by the way. And this is the point that, and this is how I looked at the story when it came to me and the answer I got from it. I looked at it and applied it to the system. And the thought came to me that the system is not broken. You can't really fix something that's not broken. Maybe the system is like a horse, because a horse is not broken. The horse is an excellent method of transportation. The horse has helped humanity advance in the way that humanity has advanced. And it's a good form of transportation, but it is not the form of transportation that we need in this day and time, because a horse is antiquated, a horse is slow, and it takes up a lot of space. So when I say that the system is not broken, I know that what I'm saying is that the systems that we are using during the times of the creation probably were the best things going. But now I think as citizens, I think as business people, I think we need to really look at our systems and see, are they horses? Are they too old for the times? Are they antiquated? Are they taking up too much space? And are they too slow? Let's look at our political system, and let's look at what's going on. Let's look at some of our business models. Let's look at our education system. The systems I don't think that they are broken. I think that they are just old. And I think that they need to be sent and put out to pasture like horses. And we need to bring in new models of transportation in a symbolic way to get us where we want to be and where we want our children to be. Now, this is Brother Tim. I'd like to thank you for your time, and this has been Folk Tales for Grown Folks. And with that, I say peace.